everybody? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, Coach K is set to retire as the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils. As we all know, Coach K has been the head coach of Duke for, 30 plus years, over 30 years. And now he is set to retire. He will retire after this 2021-22 season. He's hanging it up. And a lot of it has to do, I think, with the fact that college basketball is changing, right? Like college basketball is changing right in front of our eyes. And if you don't recognize it, then I don't know what to tell you. Simply because the emergence of the G League Ignite, obviously overseas leagues are continuing to grow. And then the NBA is kind of giving to college basketball. They're kind of like done with college basketball. So they're trying to do any and everything they can to bypass that product because they just feel like that's not it. They're not fans of the NCAA and all of that stuff going on. But anyway, we're here to talk about Coach K. And Coach K is set to retire. He's won 5 national championships, 3 Olympic gold medals as the head coach of the USA basketball. Over 1,000 wins. Like he's done everything that you can do in the sport of college basketball. Mike Krzyzewski has done it at Duke. Not just like he's done it at Duke. And Duke was a garbage program before Coach K came along. And now Duke is one of the premier programs in the entire country because of Mike Krzyzewski. So they have essentially named his replacement. It's a guy by the name of Jon Scheyer. And for those of you who are into Duke basketball, Jon Scheyer, of course, was a really good guard at Duke way in the early 2000s. He was I think he came right after J.J. Redick. He came around that time, right after Redick had lit up the country. Duke always kept like a dumb, nice, like white guard, right? Like you had your J.J. Redicks, you had your Jon Scheyers, you had Greg Paulus. Then of course came Grayson Allen. They always kept like a solid, like really, really good white guard. And Jon Scheyer was one of those guys. And he looks like he's the coach in waiting. He'll replace Coach K. And I'm here to tell you, Duke, that is dumb. You're making a mistake. No offense to Jon Scheyer. He might be the next Coach K. Like he might be, and I could be totally off on this. But there are candidates out there right now that are proven that would take the Duke job, I believe. That would take, some of them take it just like that. Some of them might have to think about it, but others that would take it just like that. And I'm going to name you a few. Here is my list of guys that Duke should contact to make sure they don't want the Duke job before hiring Jon Scheyer. And I just think that's the wrong move. The first number one guy on the list, the number one, he's a guy I don't have to think about it, but the number one college basketball coach that Duke should be reaching out to is Mark Few at Gonzaga. Here's why. Mark Few, you've seen what he's done with Gonzaga. Like, we're not going to act like that Gonzaga program isn't a problem. Yes, they have not won the national championship. Yes, they have even been disappointing in some years. But this Gonzaga team has been a juggernaut in college basketball. Whether you can be mad at them for being in the West Coast Conference all you want. Gonzaga doesn't schedule BS games. They schedule Kansas. They schedule really good teams, Dukes and Kentuckies. They schedule good teams. They don't run from Baylor. They don't run from anyone. That's one thing we can say about Gonzaga is they do not run from anyone. They play legit teams. And Mark Few, not only has his teams been really good, now he's starting to recruit. Now he's starting to get some of the best players in the country. Jalen Suggs just went out there to Gonzaga, lit it up, helped that team go 31-0 before getting destroyed by Baylor. But we'll get to that. Now you got Chet Holmgren, the number one player in the country. You got another 5-star coming in with Chet. You're always going to return a nice, solid core of players. So instead of like Kentucky where you lose 5 or even sometimes 6 guys a year, Gonzaga loses. You're going to lose. You lost Corey Kispert. You lost Jalen Suggs, the one and done. But Timmy is coming back, and you're going to bring in 2 5-stars. That is how you build your program. Imagine Mark Few at Duke. With the way he's able to coach, the way he's able to coach his guys up and recruit now, he would be a star at Duke. Mark Few's got to be number 1 on your list. Number 2 on your list needs to be Scott Drew. Mark Few would be somebody who had to think about it. Scott Drew would leave in a heartbeat. If Duke called up Scott Drew and said, we want you to be the heir apparent to Mike Krzyzewski and be the head coach of Duke basketball, what Scott Drew just did at Baylor, the man just won a national championship with a team 10 years ago when or 15 years ago, whenever he took the job, won like 5 games. Imagine what he could do with Duke. And he's doing it with transfers and 3-star guys and guys that weren't highly decorated coming out of high school. Imagine what he could do with Duke, with his coaching style and the way they shoot threes and play defense. Scott Drew would be a star at Duke. Now, obviously, everyone who takes the job after Coach K is going to be living in the shadow of Coach K, at least for a while, at least initially. But Scott Drew would be a star at Duke University if he took over, and he'd take the job like that. I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe after winning a national championship at Baylor, there's nothing left to prove. He proved he can coach. The man just won a national championship at Baylor, a program that was stipend by, ridicule and scandals and probation. He won a championship there in blowout fashion over the number 1 pick, Mark Few. Scott Drew would be a great case. And number 3, and the guys are going to be mad at me, and I said this earlier in one of my group chats, and they just were not feeling this pick at all. But number 3 would be Juwan Howard. I know the history between the Fab Five, Juwan Howard, Duke, Coach K, none of it makes sense, right? But Juwan Howard is a rising star in college basketball. Juwan Howard can recruit. Juwan Howard can coach. Juwan Howard is a leader of men. Juwan Howard has NBA experience, both as a player and as a coach. Juwan Howard would be a perfect program builder to continue to build on the program that Coach K has at Duke. Juwan Howard would be perfect for Duke. Now, here's someone that would think about it. Mark Few would think about it. Scott Drew would take it like that. Juwan Howard would think about it simply because he is at his alma mater. It is Duke. And, they have that history with Duke, with the Fab Five. And he's got a good thing going at Michigan, and he doesn't have to replace a legend, right? He's got a good thing going at Michigan, etching out his own legacy, and he doesn't have to walk in the shadow of Mike Krzyzewski, where they name shit Krzyzewskiville, right? He don't have to follow that. He don't have to be the following act to that. But I think Juwan Howard would be a perfect fit at Duke. The way he can recruit, the way he can coach. In his first year, Michigan, he had them as the number 1 team in the country, not the number 1 overall seed, but a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Put it, Juwan Howard at Duke, he's going to make a lot of noise. And I think he's someone that continues to deserve to at least get consideration for jobs like Duke. Those are my top 3. Mark Few, Scott Drew, Juwan Howard. Looks like they're going to go with John Shire. That's a bad move to me. I would go out there a more established, a winning coach that knows what he's doing, that can recruit, that can get great players and win a bunch of ball games and compete for national championships. But they're going to go with a guy who's been on the bench for a long time as an assistant. I think when you have a major program like a Duke, like a North Carolina, both of them seem to play the conservative route, like the safe route. I think Hubert Davis makes more sense for North Carolina. He's been there 8 years as an assistant. He played there as a player. And it just makes more sense for North Carolina as far as John Shire and Duke. The reason why it makes sense for them is because he's young. He's not someone I don't think that's going to really succeed to that expectation of following up Coach K. But when you're a program like Duke, man, I think you got to swing big. Like when Kentucky had their job opening, they swung big and got Coach Cal, who was the hottest coach in the country. When North Carolina, before Hubert Davis, but when they had their job opening, they swung big and went and stole Kansas's coach, right? Like they went out. Roy Williams was at Kansas, right? Like Kansas is no small pickings. Like they are a major high-level college basketball program, and they took Roy Williams from Kansas. So if I'm Duke, you go take Scott Drew from Baylor. You go try to take Mark Few from Gonzaga because you can do that. But it looks like they're going to play the safe route. So we'll see how it goes. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. at the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.